out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Try to keep up. It's SHTF. In fact, if I got to get up and make a run for it, I'll try and come back. But I think, I don't know. It's been rough, folks. It's a rough freaking day. And I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep it down. Woo! Where do we want to start? I tell you what, I'm going to try and start with something positive because there is plenty of negative to go around to everybody. Welcome back. This is the monologue and Q&A, the question and answer. If you're new to Patreon, then you know something special is coming. You get to be famous. You get to have questions. Question, comment, statement, a joke. Tell a lie, tell a truth. See if I can tell the difference. We call that Stump the John. This is your show. It's my show. It's our network. It's about free speech, our rights. It's about being civilized. Whoa. You're not going to believe this, folks. I got a list of stuff a mile long. It goes from here all the way to here. What do you have? Get your questions into Jolene. Put them in the comments section. She'll pass them along. But for now, I want to start on this fine Wednesday. I want to start with some good news. Now, in order to get good news, typically you have to go to a place that's free. To get good news, typically you got to go to a country that has free states. And that would be the United States of America. And down in Florida, like Texas and like the other southern states, it's the freest, where they're passing laws to protect life, to protect children, to protect freedom, protect our rights. In Florida, they passed a law. No more breaking the law, No more of that. No more of that. When it comes to teaching children garbage about sexuality, they passed a law. Well, guess what? They have now fired folks. They didn't suspend. They didn't have a talking to. They didn't say you get one strike and 10 more. They fired a pansexual Florida middle school teacher for discussing her orientation with her 11 and 12-year-old students. You break the law, there's a penalty. Well, the school fired her. Now, there's one little caveat. That she did this little thing about, well, you just draw your sexual orientation and then we'll, have an art class, because it was an art class. That was done before the law passed, but she has decided to keep that artwork discussing sexuality on the windows and I think the doors of the classroom well after the law has been passed. And if you want to break the law and celebrate your whatever it is you're celebrating, well, you're breaking the law. Now, here's the next question. If you're going to groom children and put little sexy thoughts in their heads and it violates the law, shouldn't a Florida prosecutor or maybe even the state attorney general prosecute this teacher for breaking the law? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. If I were to do it, if you were to do it, you can't pretend. You see, it's not ex post facto. It's not when the art was made. It was when the art was posted and continued to be posted and posted some more. Fired. And while I don't want anyone to go to jail, if you break the law, if you're a criminal, if you're a scumbag, if you're a child predator, if you're a child sex groomer, guess what? You get to pay the penalty. It's not like there's no evidence. The evidence was literally pasted to the wall. Unfreaking believable. I guess in Florida, the law is real. Well, good for Florida, good for the South. But wait, there's more. Remember that? Billy Mays, Mr. OxyClean himself, I think he died of a heart attack, but well before the Jim Jones juice. Right? Anyways, Billy Mays was famous for his, but wait, there's more, right? You thought you were done. You're like, whew, had enough of that guy. And then, pow, you get nailed with more. Back to Florida, bam, just like that. Governor DeSantis. He said, you're going to remove critical race theory and other woke trash from your textbooks. And guess what, folks? The textbook companies have given in. They've caved to DeSantis. They've caved to the law. They've caved to human decency. They've caved to being realistic. Not because they want to, folks, but because they were forced. Isn't it amazing how we have to force companies to obey the law, yet to force them to be decent? Never forget, that's the world we live in, folks, where there's an after-school Satan club coming to a school near you, where immorality and hedonism is taught as a way of life that's acceptable. Well, thank God for Governor DeSantis and other good governors. Thank God for all the Republican governors who have stood up, pardon me, who have stood up and said, guess what? We're going to protect our own border because the federal government is existing in a state of malfeasance of office. It's not doing its job with protecting the border. Whew. I tell you, I'm in cold sweats today. Well, I am in the prestigious Prepared Mind bunker. Things are bad, folks. And again, thank you, number one, for being here. If you're new to Patreon, welcome. What a great community. We've got all kinds of stories. I post stories. Jolene posts stories. Ooh, man, gets stories. Everyone that's available scours the internet for stories. Welcome to Patreon. We're getting new subscribers there all the time. Loving it. Live it, love it, and laugh at liberals, folks. But don't think that SHTF is over. The East Coast of the United States, has diesel stockpiles, folks, at record lows as we enter into the new fuel crisis. Isn't that amazing? It's not like we had an oil delivery crisis and it took months to draw it down. For some reason, they've been drawing down the fuel quantities, and we're here. Didn't President Biden, old Gigi, the savior, the great uniter Biden, didn't he open the strategic oil reserve so we could refine additional fuels? Then why do we have record lows, folks? Well, remember, that oil, folks, was actually put on tankers and shipped overseas. Thanks, Biden. We love you, man. Go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. You the man. Unfreaking believable. Now, interesting. Typically, at the top of the screen, it shows me, I think, things in red. For some reason, stuff is in blue. I don't know why. All righty, let's continue. Oh, by the way, today, the Federal Reserve, folks, has unleashed the biggest interest rate increase this century. So basically, the last 20 plus years. Under a Democrat president. Oh my gosh, we're so lucky to have these Democrats. 50 basis points, half an interest point, folks, half a point. What's that mean? It means your credit cards are going to cost you more to use. It means you want to buy a house, you're not going to buy as much house because interest rates are going up. Car up, everything up. Interest rates are going up, folks. Do you think that inflation is just going to stop? Do you think that house prices are going to come down fast enough? Nope. We got inflation, folks. We got inflation, stagflation. We got recession. We got depression. We got stagflation. They're going to make up more stupid words and terms. But the fact of the matter is, to be you, to live in your world. Not everyone gets to be lucky enough to live underground in a bunker. Your world is going to cost you more to live in. You're going to pay higher interest rates while they try to slow down inflation. Everything is going to cost more. Unbelievable. I mean, where do we go, man? I mean, there's one topic out here. there's one topic out here, and I'm going to try and stay out of it so you guys can ask questions about it. But I'll tell you what, it has to do with boating. The topic, the big one, I want your questions on it. The topic I'm thinking about is boating, where you row your boat, and sometimes you hop out and you wade through the water. Think you get my drift? Oh yeah, folks, unbelievable what's coming. I want your comments. I want your opinions. I don't even give mine on this Roe v. Wade. I want your questions, so get them in on the Roe v. Wade. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I don't want to put my opinion out there until I get your opinion. Now, we got plenty to talk about, folks. Plenty. No, I can't even bring that one up. Shoot, that one touches it too. I was going to go into that. I'm like, no. Everything is part of the plan. We'll get to it, folks. We'll get to it. But this topic I'm going to get into now is absolutely frustrating. It is maddening. And let me get my digestive system under control here. Yes. It's maddening. It's excruciatingly painful listening to these people talk because they don't think. It's like playing a record backwards and trying to understand it. Joe Biden, that's right, Gigi Biden, the grand high dragon of the Democrat Party, came to the microphone today and he uttered some words. He put them together and he said this. Quote, this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history. Don't you think that's a little hyperbolic? Don't you think the hubris and grand claim from the Grand Dragon is a little over the top? The Make America Great crowd is the most extreme in American history. The most extreme political organization in history. You don't think that would be maybe the Ku Klux Klan, maybe the American Nazi Party, maybe the American Communist Party? Don't you think they would be a little more extreme than your everyday Make America Great Again crowd? How about name your crowd, folks. Make America great. What made America great? Let's start there. Freedom, liberty, low taxation, restricted government, the people's rights, understood, accepted, and protected by the government. That's what Make America Great is all about. So the opposite of that is you want to make America slaves. You want to make Americans slaves everywhere. You want no prosperity. You want no freedom. You want no liberties. To be anti-MAGA is to be for tyranny and despotism. That's what Joe Biden said, folks. Now, I'm going to give you a Barry Goldwater quote. Barry Goldwater ran for president, I believe, in the 1960s, and he says, extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. He's credited with saying that. What do we have on the street today, folks? What do we have on the street? We have people. Oh, I can't even talk about that. I have to for this. I'm going to step in. There's people calling for the burning to the ground of the United States Supreme Court. That's not extreme. Black Lives Matter. That's not extreme. The insurrectionist attempts through terrorism by the Weather Underground in the 1960s and 70s. That's not extreme. People who pay their taxes, have jobs, own businesses, own homes, own cars, have children, are multi-generational American citizens who, again, pay their taxes. They're the most extreme, huh? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, here is what prompted that fine statement from the great uniter, the grand high dragon, Joe Biden. My stomach is not happy. I had some coleslaw for lunch, and whoo! All right, let's continue. Here is why Biden said that MAGA crowd is the most extreme in American history. It's even more extreme than the states that decided they would steal from the other states and cause the Civil War. Yeah, those people were just fine turning the American military loose on Americans and burning their crops, burning their homes, burning their cities, raping the women, murdering women and children. Those were not extreme Americans, folks. That was the U.S. military organization under President Lincoln. But we don't want to think about that. We're just going to block that shit out. As I said this morning, as I've said in the past, no government, folks, is innocent. Not Russia, not the U.S., not the United Kingdom, no African nation, no Asian nation, certainly not Antarctica. Those penguins are dangerous. Anyways, back to President Biden. He said that the MAGA folks are the most extreme ever. The reason he said that is we have had primary elections. Remember, in 2022, we're going to have a midterm election. President Trump is 22 wins and 0 losses. He is 22 for 22 in Ohio and Indiana. The people that he is endorsing as real Republicans are winning, and he is 22-0, to use that expression. And they're afraid, folks. The Democrats are very, very afraid. Number one, Trump has coattails. If he endorses you, you win. 22-0. That scares Biden a lot. Why should that scare Biden? Didn't Biden trounce the Trump? Didn't he thump the Trump? Didn't he take a dump on the Trump? You know, he took a dump on the Pope and the Queen, but didn't he dump the Trump with his 91 million votes? Why should he give a shit? Oh, his policies are so beloved by the American people. Why should he give a shit? Well, because they're actually not happy. It's hit the fan. Things are going bad. They're going from bad to worse, and Biden won't fix anything. Keep that oil shut off. No Keystone Pipeline. Open that border up. Piss away our money in Ukraine. What has he done right? They're scared to death, folks, that you, me, are telling everybody, vote. Vote Republican. Wake up. It's about freedom and liberty. It's not about what's the government going to give me today. It ain't about that, folks. It's about freedom and liberty. Make America Great Again is about liberty. Now, I am not shilling for the Trump, folks. I'm about freedom and liberty, and I've said that all along. I don't care who the candidate is. If they're about freedom and liberty, that's who I want. If you're not about freedom and liberty, get the fuck out of the way. And I think that's what Trump is doing, is he is getting rid of rhinos. These are, folks, the primaries. What has been a unique tool used by Democrats for decades now. That unique tool, folks, is rhino Republicans. Because even if a Republican that's a rhino beats a Democrat, the Democrats know that they've got a candidate in there in the Republican Party that they can push around, that they can threaten, that they can control, that is as good as a moderate Democrat. And in the case of an asshole like Adam Kinzinger or Liz Cheney, both supposedly Republicans, they're in Washington, D.C., and they are so extreme that even Democrats are like, they're fucking extreme. Okay? Understand, folks. They are deathly afraid of you. They are deathly afraid of America. They're afraid of freedom. They're afraid of liberty. They're just afraid, folks. What does fear do? Fear makes people do some strange things. Oh, there's another one I can't talk about. There's another one I can't talk about. There's another one. I want your comments on the row your boat and wade down the stream. Right? Unbelievable. Let's switch gears a little, folks. Remember that stuff? Remember the cerveza bug? Remember how we were told for years and years we're going to have to put up with it? Oh, the pandemic won't end in a year or 2 or 3. It's going to take 5 years, 10 years. It's going to be with us forever. And then the other day, Dr. Doom himself came out and said, oh, no, it's over. It's over, everybody. Wait a minute. He came out, folks, and he found out that his statement that the pandemic is over, he found out that that was unpopular. That it's only good for him to talk if what he says is unpopular to those who like their freedom.
I also want to ask you about the president's mandate. There's so much opposition now.
I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will.
Is there any thought of backing off of that?
People do not like to be told what to do, told what to do, and he's not backing off. Or rather, the government isn't. Folks, the Jim Jones juice was supposed to save us all. Save us. Right? Save us from the tyranny of the little one himself. The mighty munchkin, the little leprechaun. Well, guess what, folks? It hasn't. There is now a study come out of Germany. That's right, from Deutschland. The number of those suffering, folks, severe complications from the Jim Jones juice. Follow me on this. The complications number is 40 times higher than previously recorded. In other words, folks, government and medical professionals are hiding the dangers of the juice. Surprise? I don't know, right? No. How about disgusted and worried for the future of humanity? Yes, definitely. Thank you, World Economic Forum. Thank you, evil governments. Thank you, biologists. That's right, folks. Biologists are responsible for taking a bug, turning some dials, making it a little worse, and then biologists are responsible, folks, for making the Jim Jones juice. Perhaps we should all become biologists. So we too can create medical weapons and force them to be inserted in the bodies of our enemies and coerce people to harm themselves. Unfreaking believable what's going on in this world. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention. 40 times higher, folks. Not 4 times higher. Not going from 100% to 400%. We're going from 100% to 4,000%. We were told it was incredibly small. No, it's big. But now we're finding out that it's even higher than they've admitted. Thank you, Germany. Thank you. I want you guys to get your questions, your comments, your statements, your hysteria in on the Roe v. Wade stuff. There's so much on this, folks. Now, I think that our good buddy Uman of the Blue Wrench fame, the guy who keeps law and order in the Prepared Mind comment section, hits it out of the park every time Uman does. We've got some incredible stuff going on. He says that every 72 hours, and this is just a round figure, it's just an idea, a concept. Every 72 hours, they got to change the story because Americans have short attention spans and their give a shit factor evaporates very quick. And they're doing it, are they not? We're switching from cerveza bug to Ukraine to back to cerveza bug to, oops, that's not working. So we're going to go to Roe v. Wade. And so, yeah, I've got a lot to talk about here, folks.
But I want you guys to tell me what you think of Roe v. Wade. While I'm waiting for that, I want to take a little trip. I'm going to take a little trip across the ocean, folks, over to Russia. Thank you again, Mr. T, for those transitions, those bumpers. And Russia has again come out, folks, and warned that any NATO vehicle entering Ukraine with weapons will be destroyed. So I have to ask this question. Is Putin going to have Russian troops at the border of Western Ukraine where, it touches borders with definitely Poland, maybe a little bit of Germany, right? Anyways, are they going to put border guards on there? Are they going to have border checks on cargo? No, they're not going to do that. The western border of Ukraine is as open to weapons as the southern border of the United States of America is to illegal invaders. I don't want to call them immigrants because these people aren't immigrating here. They're invading our nation in numbers that if that was a military invading our country to the tune of 250,000 people, folks, Russia could only invade our country for 2 months and they'd be out of military. Mexico is invading, and other South American countries or Central American countries to the tune of 250,000 per month continuously. So Russia warns, folks, and says, hey, you bring in those vehicles with weapons, we're going to destroy them. Now, I believe it was just earlier today, Russia just cut loose and just blasted the living shit out of targets in Lviv. Actually, that was yesterday. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. They're not ignorant. The question we have, though, is if they're going to disguise weapons shipments into Ukraine, do they put them in a Little Debbie cupcake truck? Do they put them in a U-Haul truck? Do they put them in Walmart trucks? How do they get these weapons in there? And how are they going to fool Russia? You know what? Do you think there's a chance that Russia has spy satellites watching Ramstein Air Base in Germany and watching other military bases and military, shall we say, industrial complex supply hubs? Do you think they have one person that they could say, you're going to watch this base? And if a truck comes off of there that, looks like a Little Debbie truck, your job is to follow it. And if it comes in Ukraine, we'll bomb it. Now that makes some sense, doesn't it? What better way to antagonize the enemy of the Ukrainians than to continuously bring in armament to fight him? And I want to remind everyone again, if Volodymyr Zelensky, president supposedly of the free people of Ukraine, and they aren't free, folks, you say one nice thing about Putin, you're going to jail. You're going to prison. Whew, that's a free country I want to fight for. Fuck no. Okay. Yeah, Zelensky is no good guy, folks. I'm not saying any country is the good guy here. I'm saying they're escalating this and you and I are going to pay. Right? The sooner Zelensky surrenders, the sooner we can have peace in Ukraine. But don't worry, folks. Our government, the government of the European Union, which is a bunch of bureaucrats, the governments of the free countries that supposedly support NATO, even though they're bullying each other, the same way the EU countries are bullying each other. Right? They're going to sanction Russia. Ultimately, they're going to shut off Russia ultimately. So why make the Ukrainian people suffer? Well, it's because, folks, they want their prize. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want their Little Debbie cake. Yes, they do. Unbelievable. And I want to touch on this topic before I get to your questions. Why is it that it's okay to take someone who's committed a crime and dislocate and or break their arm and beat the ever-loving shit out of them in front of the world, and it's okay? Right? I believe this guy who was beaten down may have been trans, supported trans, definitely. I think he was a person of color, but it was okay to beat him, dislocate his arm, and numerous people. I'm talking about the person who jumped on stage and attacked Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, that great comedian, folks. He didn't do a Will Smith, right? He didn't do a Chris Rock, right? Everyone took their turn beating the shit out of this guy who attacked him. Why is that not wrong? Right? The guy definitely was a criminal, just like St. George Floyd. Definitely a criminal. St. George Floyd, he was a long-time criminal. In fact, St. George Floyd hasn't committed a crime in over 2 years. Do you think it's because he's been reformed? Yeah. Anyways, I guess it's okay if you're not a cop to beat down someone who is a minority or a minority supporter in front of everyone else, and it's just fine. Everyone cheered that shit on. Once again, folks, at The Prepared Mind, we like to take a look at hypocrisy. We like to examine things from a unique perspective, right? Now, this dumbass that jumped up on the stage and assaulted Dave Chappelle, I think he actually got what was coming to him or her or whatever the fuck it was. You don't do that to people. And the fact that you got a beat down is probably going to keep you from wanting to ever take that little step again. I just think it would be fair if anybody who gets attacked by somebody, regardless of any supposed gender or homosexuality or sexuality or race or whatever, you should get a beat down. Like there was a 77-year-old man walking down the street in New York City, was attacked yesterday and was just totally beaten, caught on camera, by the way. I think that guy should have his ass kicked in a very hearty and robust manner for attacking an old dude. All right, let's do this. We are at the 30-minute mark. We're past it, by the way. Get your questions into Jolene. And Jolene, let's start with the Roe v. Wade questions. And if there are any other questions, I will accept them. Oh, man, my God. Remember that commercial from the 80s? I'm about to have a Malox moment. Well, trying to hold it together. Let's do this. Let's get to your questions. It is that time. It's time for the Q and the A.
Are you ready?
Hot tip, folks. If you're going to eat coleslaw and it's trying to climb off the plate, do not stab it, hold it on the plate, and then eat it. All right, let's move on. It is your turn. It is time for the Q and the A. And we're going to start with Bonnie Blue 2A, and she says this. I think the leftist tears over Roe versus Wade is all theater, drama, political bullshit. Oh, I can't wait to read the next sentence. Look the other direction at what they do not want us paying attention to. Border, digital currency from central banks, petrodollar collapse, etc. You bet. I'm going to agree with you. The high leftist tiers, those tiers coming from Pocahontas, Senator Liz, right, Hillary Clinton, right, Nancy Pelosi, right. Do you think they really give a shit? I think you're right. This is an excellent point. At the highest levels, the leftist tiers are a bunch of bullshit. Now, for the street urchin, low-level scumbag Democrats, I think those tiers are real because they've been told, they've been indoctrinated, they've been pushed around and told this is the most important thing ever. And then the men, the men who are upset and outraged. And I thought, dude, what are you outraged for? This is supposed to be about a woman's right to choose. And then I remembered, men can now be pregnant. Men can now be women. Men can now claim to be women. So it's their right too. All of a sudden, men have more rights by claiming to be women and wanting to be pregnant, right? Like the little pregnant man emojis, who, by the way, look just like Bill Gates. Unbelievable. It is now a man's right to be upset over Roe versus Wade because, by golly, I could identify as a woman and I can go get pregnant by having whatever operation it takes to have that done. It is all theater. They need, and I'm agreeing with you, Bonnie Blue, 100%. Bam. Oof, don't shake the body, John. They need America pissed off and riled up. They need their leftists, their radical wackos on the street. And so, yeah, they're taking this and they're running with it. Now, here's the deal. They are not rolling back Roe v. Wade in the way that most people think. In fact, I was talking to a friend from California this morning, and this person told me that a co-worker of theirs, a young 24-year-old woman, the co-worker who is a 24-year-old woman, thinks that if they reverse Roe v. Wade, that also reverses gay marriage. That's how fucking stupid these people are. They need the young people riled up, upset, and pissed off because the leftists at the high levels, like Lying Hontus, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pants Pelosi, you think she cares about low-level people? All she cares about is her money and her power. Hillary Clinton, really? She gives a shit? I don't think so. We're way up here, folks. They need the lower people riled up. They need riots. They need burning. They need looting. You bet. You bet. Because they don't want us looking at the border. They don't want us looking at the real reason we're in Ukraine. They don't want us looking at the fact that the petrodollar is just burning, crashing, going down. In order to try and save it, they are doing all they can. They are money printing like a mofo at the Federal Reserve. They're saying that they're not. They're claiming they're buying back their debt when they're not. They're raising interest rates. They're doing everything they can to save this dead man walking called the Federal Reserve note. Great points. Bonnie Blue, thank you again for all that you do for the Prepared Mind channel. Who is next? Who wants to step up and row the boat down the SHTF shit river without a popsicle stick? Heidi 12. Heidi checks in. Heidi. And she says, I think the pill and the morning after pill should be able to take care of any problems. So first of all, the pill is the birth control pill. It has been around for 50 odd years. And it is a hormone that tricks the woman's body into thinking that it's time to menstruate. It's their hormones. Now, you can argue all day long for or against them, whether they're safe or not. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a biological woman. If I think all of a sudden the political leftists have remembered what a woman is and that a woman has rights. No one ever said women don't have rights. We just said you don't have the right to murder somebody. All righty. Anyways, the pill. Yeah, it keeps people from getting pregnant, even men. And I think more leftist Democrat men should take the birth control pill so they don't get pregnant. Because, you know, if you identify as a woman, you might get pregnant now. So, yes. Wow. Now, moving to the morning after pill. AKA, or commonly known as or referred to, the abortion pill. If you think you had unprotected sex and could be pregnant, then you take this pill and it forces your body through whatever toxic jambalaya you got going on in the drug in your body, forces you to menstruate as a woman. Once again, is it safe? I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not as smart. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll definitely do it. Now, actually, I caught an article today along these same lines, Heidi. And this, again, is why I wanted you guys to ask the questions, because I have just been inundated with stuff. There are now going to be, get this, folks, homemade concoctions that women are talking about as having to use as a substitute for safe abortion at abortion clinics, including horse medication, not whore medication, horsey, as in right, horses saddle, horses hay, not whore medication, but horse medication, not tribute to Norm Macdonald, crack whore, not whore medication, but horse medication that would trigger an abortion or trigger a menstrual cycle. Now, here's the deal. The Supreme Court did not, this isn't done yet. It's not even out there. It's just that there was a leak. So women in these extreme leftist, low-level dipshits, not the ones up top, who just want people riled up. I got more evidence of that as well. They're already talking about alternative abortion. You can go get an abortion pill. The ruling that supposedly is coming out is that the federal Supreme Court of the United States is saying it's not our business. It was a bad decision a long time ago for us to get involved. This is a state issue. Now, you and I know that at the state level, we have more control. We have more control at the state level. States like California, California's trying to pass a fucking law to make it legal to kill your born child, like up to 1 year after they're born, and call it an abortion. I told that to a friend of mine who said, "Are you kidding? What, huh?" They lost their freaking mind. Fucking mouth fell open. She couldn't believe it. All right. Yeah, that's what they're trying in California. It's a state issue. It's not a federal issue. But they don't hear that, folks. The high level. Anyways, yeah, they got pills. The issue in many states is this heartbeat law. Mississippi, Texas, Florida. Other states are like, at so many weeks or after a heartbeat is detected, whatever their various laws are, you can no longer go get an abortion. You know, if you can't, one, keep your legs shut. If you can't be responsible with the prophylactic or the birth control pill, if you can't manage to get the day after pill, you have demonstrated you're completely irresponsible, right? And a lot of people say, hey, look, you want an abortion, you get one, and you also get a hysterectomy. Now, again, it's my right, it's my body, I have a right to do this and that. Did you know that the government, a long time ago, about 110, 115 years ago, decided that the government can sterilize people for whatever reason they believed? You're unfit, your IQ's too low, you come from a bad racial group. That's right, folks. People with that Democrat-type mentality deciding who lives, who dies, who has to take what injection. If it's considered a health crisis, the government is all powerful. That's the Democrats of today. They would do that to you. They would lock you in a camp. They would say that you're what? Deplorable. You're a bad person. You should be re-educated. Even cute little Katie Couric said there needs to be re-education camps because of the radicals out there that don't believe in socialism and communism. You can see this one, folks, is cutting this country right down the partisan divide. You want freedom and liberty? You want to be a slave, a puppet of the government? You go to the Democrat side. They're making a hard line down the middle, folks. Unbelievable. Thank you, Heidi. Great topic, which of course segues into so much more. We got Kathy Lemaster checking in, says camel toe. Okay, let me try that again. Camel toe. I wasn't expecting that. Oh my gosh, I got to control my stomach here. I want to lose my lunch. Camel toe meaning Kamala Harris, vice president. Camel toe was preaching about leave women bodies alone. But here you need this jab. Oh yeah. Seriously confuse people in this world. You bet, Kathy. They've lost their shit. How they're standing on an island. If their legitimate thoughts could float, they're standing on a flotation device the size of a saltine cracker. No racial pun intended. They're standing on a cracker. They have so little legitimate, intelligent thought. There's no common sense. There's no rationale. There's no critical thinking. There's nothing here. We can tell you to put something in your body, whether you like it or not. We're going to mandate it. Put something on your face and your kid's face, and you can't go anywhere. You can't go to the store. You can't do this. You can't do that. But, you want to stop someone from killing a baby that's growing inside their body? That's wrong. How dare you? Yes, that's camel toe. Talk about one of the most ignorant fucking people on the planet. She's right up there with Maxine Waters. And here's another one. Hypocrite, Letitia James. She's the Attorney General for the state of New York. She is the one who's going after Trump. She's the Trump attacker. She's also the what the fuck big mouth. She's out there screaming, my body, my choice. Another one of these upper level Democrats who doesn't really care, doesn't seem genuine, but wants to rile up the people. This hypocrite, folks, and a hypocrite is someone who says, do as I say, not as I do. Special rules for me, but not for thee. This idea is good here, but not over there. She says a woman has a right over her body. Letitia James pushed mask mandates. How can you have mask mandates, right, Camel Toe Harris, and then also turn around and say, you keep your hands off of women's bodies? Well, how do we know they're women? Right? Because, I'm not a biologist. Right? We have to take people at their word. Right. Also, folks, Letitia James said she stood up and said she proudly had an abortion. I guess that's a pride statement. It is now a thing of pride. It's a thing of pride to say you've had. I don't know anybody. I don't personally know anyone who said they proudly went and got an abortion. Like, I went out and I had unprotected, irresponsible sex with who knows how many men and discovered I was pregnant. So I proudly marched down to Planned Parenthood and had them extinguish the life of an unborn baby. Because, it is a clump of cells. I tell you what, believe it or not, I am a clump of cells. I am every bit as much a clump of cells as a 12-week-old fetus or a 10-week-old fetus or an 8-week-old fetus. I'm just a much larger clump of cells. I just happen to be a clump of cells who has the ability to see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. Oh, wait a moment. Did you know, folks, that a fetus that is unborn can hear? They can see. They can smell. They can taste, they can touch. They just can't tell anyone about it. They don't have the ability to communicate yet. It takes a while to learn that shit. Oh, you're going to argue with me, John. Their ear isn't developed until... When is the ear fully developed? When are the eyes developed enough to see light? Now, Are doctors allowed to speak for babies? Right? Again, once this argument, well, if you're not a baby, you can't speak as one. Right? That's the argument. If you're not a doctor, you can't speak as one. In fact, even if you're a doctor, you're not allowed to speak because only certain experts are acceptable. The hypocrisy on this, folks, is so freaking deep that it makes me want to puke. Actually, I already want to puke from that coleslaw sandwich. I know, too much information, John. Me publicly talking about the fact that my digestive system is upset. That's wrong. How dare you talk? John, that's disgusting. But it's okay to say, my body, my choice, and I proudly had an abortion. That's not wrong to talk about. That's something to be proud of. While me trying to eat some questionable coleslaw was not a thing of pride. Don't eat the bad coleslaw. I didn't know it was bad until it was too late. Yeah, unbelievable. Kathy Lemaster, thank you for bringing that up. Unfreaking believable what is happening. But it's all part of Uman's 72-hour news cycle, and we got to keep people mad, and we've got to get the streets a-rolling with riots, and we got to keep people's attention focused on something other than what we really think is important. All great points. And James Nicholson shows up with a comment on Roe v. Wade. And James, unless you identify as a woman, you're not allowed to talk about this. At least now men can identify as women so we can speak about Roe versus Wade. This is what he says. He says, question, John, can you give your opinion on the 2000 Mules movie being released? I've got an opinion. Everybody in America should be interested in this movie. What it's about. It's about a topic I can't discuss because YouTube, Facebook, Twitter will censor me. Isn't that incredible? One of the foundations of our constitutional republic. Did you notice I didn't say democracy? One of the foundations of our constitutional republic is the people having representation. Now, folks, it was one of the main reasons we had the Declaration of Independence signed. There was taxation going on without representation. And that means that no one was there arguing on behalf of the colonists about the fairness or the applicability of a tax that the king said the people had to pay. Now, I don't like taxation with representation either, folks. I don't like taxes. I don't think they're necessary. I think there are ways that things can be paid for. Corporations are created entities and they should pay the taxes. And then I should be able to choose whether or not I want to pay money for what that corporation produces. That's right. There's a lot of ways to get around this system, folks. But let's not make this about taxes, right? The 2000 Mules movie being released. The mainstream media is ignoring it, even Fox News. There is an incredible amount of interest in the topic of fair and free elections. There's a great deal of interest into what has been happening down in the state of Arizona, up in the state of Pennsylvania, over in Michigan, Wisconsin, over in Nevada, and then back down south in Georgia. A lot of information, folks, has come up, especially the states of Arizona. It's still going, especially in the state of Georgia. It's still a huge deal. There are many politicians around the country who says we can't have an election until we figure out what went wrong. What happened in the last? I am not making any claims about anything, folks, because I'm not allowed. Because apparently I'm not a biologist. Apparently I'm not an expert in the field of virology. And what kind of expert do you have to be, folks, in the field of voting? Do you have to be a voterologist to talk about the coming 2022 election? You see, that is for the people. The election is for the people. It's about the people. And the 2000 Mules is about what happened when the people's voice expressed through their right to vote. Something went a little haywire. Something wasn't quite right. And it is a full-length feature documentary. I think people should watch it. It is going to be shadow banned. It is going to be hidden. It is going to be put up at the front. Freedom of speech, folks, is incredible. Yet you are being prohibited from talking about a topic that should be near and dear to your heart and of the utmost critical importance. "2000 Mules." It should be shown in schools. Now, if it can be demonstrated to be full of lies, children could be shown that. I'm going to this place on purpose. Children should be shown 2000 Mules, because if it's full of lies, the teacher ought to be able to tell the children, that was a lie. Start the movie again, they get to another lie and stop it and go, and that was a lie. This is propaganda. If indeed the movie is full of lies and propaganda. If the movie has truth and fact, teachers should be able to tell children, this was about the 2020 debacle. And here is a truth, and here is a fact, and here is another truth, and here's another fact. Children, we should never let bad things like this happen again in our constitutional republic. They won't allow this movie to be shown in schools, folks. The Republicans, the Democrats, the mainstream media, social media, the school boards will not allow this movie to be shown in school. I think they should. Teachers, politicians, social media experts, sociologists, psychologists, teacherologists, guess what? They'll say it's dangerous to children's minds to show them that. Talk to the hand because the face don't want to hear it. I haven't said that in years. Literally, folks, that's dangerous, but it's okay to say, well, here's a banana and here's a prophylactic, and that's how that works. And it's okay. Go ahead and get a stiffy and stick it in whatever you want. Or maybe you don't want a stiffy. Maybe you should have never had a stiffy. Maybe that wasn't your choice. Maybe you were assigned the wrong gender. Maybe you were assigned and you were told that being a heterosexual is the way to be. Right? They want to talk about all things sexual, rainbow, fruitcake-ish. But how dare you show a movie that says, right, politically, things should have been a lot different in 2020. The stark raving madness and lunacy in this country, folks. Yeah, I think that movie should be shown in school. I think that movie should be available to everyone for free. I think they're going to actually put it in theaters and people will pay money to see it. Let them have it. If people will pay to see that, you bet. People pay to support it, and they should if they feel that strongly about the content. Unbelievable, folks, where we are at in SHTF in this country. Is it not unfreaking believable? My body, my choice. I should be able to stand in front of the class and tell them I'm a pansexual, then tell them to paint a picture depicting their sexuality. That's fine. Unbelievable. Now, Sidney Powell. Do you remember Sidney Powell? Oh, yeah, she's part of the same subject that's not allowed to talk. Silenced, canceled, attacked, besmirched. She says that the leak that occurred is part of the plan. It's part of their plan. The leak is a strategy by the left. It is designed to destroy yet another American institution, the Supreme Court. That's what Sidney Powell, the attorney for Trump over the 2020 caca, that's what she has come out and said. She says the left has nothing worthwhile or remotely positive to run on to gain votes in the 2022 election. So they have done the unthinkable and thrown the abortion card out to cause chaos. She says they will spend any amount to make the next election about abortion. Planned Parenthood and other pro-abortion groups are going to spend $150 million in the midterm election campaign. Folks, there's no presidential campaign. This is not about the president. This is about states and the federal government, the legislature. Well, we also have the Disinformation Governance Board. It's set to be led by a radical left-wing named Nina Jankowicz. But they said, don't worry, it's going to be nonpartisan. It's going to be non-political. Right. The Ministry of Truth, folks. The dystopian nightmare of that. Yeah, right. I'll believe everything that the leftists say, right? Nancy Pelosi said it was a monstrous draft decision to talk about that Justice Alito had that was leaked. I think that, again, it's hilarious. The Democrats on social media say men can get pregnant. They've been saying that for months now. Men can identify as women. They've been saying it, right? Nancy Pelosi said it's a monstrous draft decision by the Supreme Court, only to talk about, right? It's only talking about women's reproductive rights. What about men's reproductive rights? What about men's rights to claim that they're pregnant? Unbelievable. And a big FU to Pelosi. When Democrats are upset, and I know it's past an hour, folks, this topic, I have so many different ways to look at this topic. When Democrats are upset, folks, they can do whatever they want, right? Angry and upset Elizabeth Warren, who was unbelievably, as in a bad actress. She was upset, had a meltdown at the Supreme Court. She needed help. She was so upset to walk to her car. They'll do anything they want and call it moral, right? Let's look at how the political left are immoral. Pro-life, if you're pro-life, you're moral. If you're pro-death, you're a Democrat. But we see that as immoral. If you are free speech and a patriot, we see that as moral. If you're a Democrat, you see free speech as immoral and wrong. If you want to protect children from sexual predators and groomers, you are moral and a good person and an American. If you see allowing children, right, to be approached, groomed, persuaded into this sexual culture, then you're a Democrat. If you want a border wall, you're a patriot and you're moral. If you're a Democrat, you hate the wall. You hate the border, and it's immoral, right? Everything that's moral to us, folks, election voter reforms, exposing Hunter's laptop, freedom from the Jim Jones juice mandates, we see that as morality. They see everything that we see as moral as immoral. Pro-life, immoral. Free speech, immoral. Protecting children from groomers, immoral. Border wall, immoral. Election voter reforms, immoral. Exposing Hunter's laptop, immoral. Freedom, liberty, immoral, bad. Folks, look at what the Democrats are upset about. They're angry. They're upset, says Elizabeth Warren. They're angry about everything that we consider to be moral. Could it be more clear that shit has hit the fan? Could it be more clear that the enemies of freedom, liberty, and decency, the enemies of those things are the Democrat Party, the Rhino Republicans, the bureaucracy known as the deep state in Washington, D.C., the World Economic Forum that wants war so they can profit, that wants pestilence and disease so they can profit. They want famine so they can profit. They're causing all of these things, folks. They're causing the immorality. They're causing the corruption of children. They're corrupting women by pushing this pro-life idea, saying no man has a right to tell you what to do with your body. So hate all men, hate the government that says life is precious. Well, assault one of these women, folks, and they'll scream for the police to arrest you. Well, I thought it was okay to kill unwanted life. Because that's what they're doing. They're killing unwanted life. They're claiming it's their body. It's not their body. It's a completely separate entity. Unbelievable. Try to keep up, folks. I'm doing my very best. I have so many more things to discuss. Pro-abortion Antifa rioters smashed up vehicles in Los Angeles. An MSNBC news contributor, this jackass, runs around. Everything's racist. He's calling the founding fathers racist and misogynist jerk faces. Somehow the founding fathers are misogynist jerk faces because of abortion. The call to violence to burn it down. Biden, the idea that Roe v. Wade, he says, is long established and therefore cannot be addressed. It's anathema to intelligent thinking. The Constitution, folks, and I'm going to end on this. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence are both much longer established. They're both much more fundamental and easy to understand. Simple even. The concepts of freedom and liberty in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And they're far older than any interpretation of said laws that created the Roe v. Wade decision. Yet they say Roe v. Wade is long established and therefore its law and cannot be changed. Yet they seek, these socialist Democrat scumbags, seek constantly to undermine and destroy the Constitution and the concepts of the Declaration of Independence, our freedoms and liberties. They'll destroy those and say, they're archaic and ancient. Yet the archaic and ancient Roe v. Wade should never be touched. That is how intellectually shallow they are and vacant, folks. Tell you what, I'll see you bright and early. Tell people, come to the Prepared Mind channel. Hey, sign up at the Prepared Mind on patreon.com. $2 a month, 7 cents a day. 7 cents a day, and you support this network. They're going to silence us at some point. They'll make us disappear at some point. Only you on Patreon are going to be guaranteed the ability to hear and see and work with me if YouTube kicks us off. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed, and hang on to your hats, folks. Try to keep up.